audio is there.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Meeting info, open meeting info panel button. Maria Marita has joined the meeting.
They can hear
Meeting
me.
menu. Devika in.
Okay.
Sound.
Okay.
Select the sound output button to activate. Press space bar.
Sound
Meeting.
out.
Open apps panel, comma, quote. Alvina has joined the meeting.
Sound output is selected, right? Hello, can you hear
Video
me?
now started.
Yes. Yes, you.
Hello, Namita.
Hi, Rim.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, there was a minor laptop thing.
Open apps panel, comma, closed, comma, button. Your name was changed to prof period. More meeting control, leave, comma, alt, sign in button. Meeting secure, AI feature, view button. Speaker video renders, comma, use arrow key to nav. Next page, but video content, Karthika.j left pair. Mute, comma, currently unmuted, comma, alt, audio settings button. Stop my video, comma, alt plus V
Okay.
button. Audio settings button. Mute, comma, currently unmuted, comma.
Okay, fine.
Space. Speech on demand. Full speech. Mute, comma, currently unmuted, comma, alt. Navin Kumar has joined the meeting. Meeting tabs. Video content, Karthika. Mute, comma, currently unmuted, comma. 2 people have joined the meeting. Space. Speech on demand.
Kartika?
Hemp sir, we are actually waiting for you to start.
Okay, fine.
Namita ma'am is here and all the other participants are also here.
Okay, am I audible and visible?
Yes, sir, you are. Everything's
Okay.
fine. Sir.
Right. I think let's get started. I'm sorry for the technical snag in the beginning. Welcome all to the Accessibility Research Center webinar series. It's called Accessibility Without Boundaries. Well, boundaries broadly can be defined. Mostly it has to do with attitude. What happens in the university spaces is that we tend to restrict discussion to specializations and jargonisms and all that. We want to break free from that and reach out to people who are doing most elegant and cutting edge work at the grassroots. This is our third webinar, and with us is Dr. Namita Jacob. I know I'm from now on, I'm not going to call her Dr. Namita. I'm going to affectionately call her Namita. I've been part of her accessible book project for very long, maybe last 5-6 years at least, Namita.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but she's a global leader in accessible books. Chetana Trust, she's the director. She has won so many global awards, traveled widely, and trendsetter, right? She's a trendsetter when it came to accessible book production. Welcome on board, everyone, and the mic to you, Namita. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namita, your voice is mildly little weaker. I mean,
Okay. I'm also actually struggling to hear you. I'm not sure if I've got my audio setting wrong.
Can anyone help her, please?
Is this better?
Yeah, better.
It's better? Okay. Oh my goodness, it looks
Maybe
like
you
we're
can come
in
closer
first
to the
now.
mic, Namita, perhaps.
Should I begin?
Yeah, kindly go ahead.
Okay. I will just see if I can share. Somebody needs to tell me what you're seeing. Ah. Sorry. What am I? I hate this. I hate this first part. Okay. Nope.
Are you not able to share them, or is there any
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
with that?
Hold on. I'm struggling a bit to share. Just give me.
Or maybe I should make you as a host, or I'll just check with the other person.
No, I can. I'm able to share. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm sharing. This.
Control space. Audio now unmuted. Namita Jacob has started.
Can you
screen
tell
share.
me if you're seeing the presentation?
Viewing Namita Jacob apostrophe S screen. Namita. Space. Speech on demand.
Can someone tell me if you're
Uh,
able?
Akka, we are seeing your Canva page
Huh.
with
Canva.
our, yes, I'm seeing your Canva page.
Okay.
It is the browser that we see with the Canva on the front. Yeah, now we can see a full slide.
Now you can see the full slide.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Kalvina.
Thank you, Akka.
All right.
But there is one black patch in
Yeah,
the
now has it gone to the top?
Yeah.
I don't know how to make it go away. So you're gonna have to watch the whole thing with a black line on top. I'm sorry, guys. I have to figure out how to do this
no problem.
better next time. Okay. First of all, thank you for this opportunity, him and the entire team at IITM, to share with you what has been a pretty fascinating journey that I embarked on. Once I made that decision to offer accessible books and accessible games to children through what we call the ARM library. The ARM library is the Accessible Reading Materials Library, and situated here not far from IIT Chennai, in Chennai. We carry books and games to children with disabilities. We send them into their homes, and we also carry them into schools, into parks, wherever children may be. I want to talk a little bit. A lot of people ask me, I am by training a special educator. I've worked with children with a range of disabilities most of my life. And people always ask me, and you chose to do storybooks? Like, why? To tell you why, I want to step back to infancy, to the early years. When a child is born, When a child is born, children are born inherently curious. It is essentially how we are hardwired. We are captured by things that are different, things that are unusual, and we focus our senses, our brains, our hands, our legs, everything to figure out what these things are. That hardwiring, that curiosity that drives us is essential and should actually stay with us for life. We should always be questioning. We should always be asking. And in today's world where information comes prepackaged and organized for you, you just have to ask Google, or you just have to ask ChatGPT, or whatever else you're using. This is almost a core life skill, isn't it? Because we need to be critical thinkers in order that we can figure out what information we're getting. Now, where does this curiosity lead children? Sorry?
நான் வந்து செவ்வாய்க்கிழமை தான் வருவேன் பரவாயில்லையா?
Should I continue?
Yes, ma'am. We'll try to mute the person and we will.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
This early experience this responding to curiosity, this investigation, is what really drives our brains to think actively, to process information. And this is the beginning of the connection between just receiving sensory input and thinking about what you're receiving. Right at this point, most children with disabilities, a wide range of disabilities, are already out of sync. They're out of sync with that ability to respond to their curiosity, either because they can't organize their bodies, either because the sensory information is inadequate. For one reason or the other, they are not able to wed these two really essential things: being curious and exploring what is that source of curiosity. Losing this is really, really something that has a huge effect on you through life. Poor experiences affect how you view yourself. It also affects how people see you, and how people see you affects how you see yourself, and how you see yourself decides how you'll act next. All these things together combine as you grow older and older to becoming more and more passive and just receiving, not thinking, not questioning, not asking, not challenging. And we wanted to change this absolute absence of opportunities that are just wonderful, just curiosity building, just, capturing. Because if you look at the childhood of most children with a range of disabilities, what you'll see is, endless hours where they are seeking therapies or medical appointments. So all those early years when they should really be engaging, they should really be questioning, they should really be exploring, they lose these things. And so I started to wonder, what is it? What is this powerful thing that can give back to children this opportunity at any point in life? Books and games, but particularly books, is something that we settled on. I will listen to a talk by Professor Alka Hingorani, who's based out of IIT Bombay, and the wonderful work that they do, which isn't with children with disabilities, but with children for whom language is a struggle for one reason or the other, and literacy is a struggle. And she talks about how reading rather than listening is very, very important. And she says, when we read and imagine, this is key, read and imagine. It activates areas of the brain that are contextual. And what does this mean? It means when we read about, dance, Gapu can dance, Gapu can't dance. And we see these children dancing or trying to dance. It's actually when you imagine it, not just look at it, but when you imagine it, it's activating your motor cortex. Just think about that, right? So this is the experience that we wanted to give children, not just reading, but also imagining. And we were particularly keen that we wanted children to read a book, not listen, but read, to explore, to engage. Because reading by itself is such an essential skill to give all children, but particularly children who are in other ways going to be limited in how they experience life. So reading gives us a way, an independent way, to get information directly, as close as you can get to how the author and the illustrator created the book. Right? And this was something that we wanted, a direct engagement with a load of people, hundreds and thousands of authors. And we started this by going to existing publishing houses and asking them, can't you make your books accessible? And they said, oh, but it's got to be really hard. It's got to be really expensive. And so I went out to answer that question. What actually, what is it, what does it actually cost, or what does it actually entail to create an accessible book? And we did a very simple book called Where is Appa's Button? It was just a simple story. And I learned many, many things. First, it isn't easy. Second, the whole community gets up to support it. You see here Shanti, the author, she's a faculty at IITM. Kaveri, who illustrated, is a child, again, an IITM child. I had people from, clothing stores who helped us with buttons. I had Tulika and Good Books who helped us with the printing. I had people all over the city came out to say, we think you're crazy, but come, let's help you do this. The other thing that I learned was exactly how powerful it was. It wasn't the world's greatest story. It wasn't totally accessible. It wasn't very beautiful. And yet it was loved. It was absolutely loved. And it was loved not just by children, but by adults. When I took it, the first trial copy in my hands, I took it to a friend of mine, an adult who's blind. He said at the end of all his comments, he said, well, but anyway, I get to keep this, right? And I laughed and I said, my God, this is a book for a 3-year-old. What would you do with it? And he said, well, my daughter's 2.5, and this will be the first book that I can read to her. Not a story that I can tell her, but a book we can read together. That idea was something that I hadn't yet thought of, and started to really influence how I thought about creating books. As we began our journey, we did several things. We thought of all children, and we tried to design for them. One of you in your questions asked me, apart from ice cream sticks, what can you use? And these are small solutions we create to help children turn pages. We stick foam on a piece of plastic board, and these can be clipped on very lightly onto a page and later just clipped open and removed. And then you get a nice little book with tabs that a child without good motor skill can still handle and turn the page. We realized that in creating solutions for children with print disabilities, there was no one size fits all. There was no magic one book, except when you looked at very, very young children, very starting books. But over time, we realized we'd have to make multiple copies and multiple solutions. In doing this, one thing stood out. Every book that we included something tactile, a tactile element. You can barely see it over here. This has sand, like a sandy texture. It's not sandpaper. I hate putting sandpaper on books, but this is something that gives you a kind of bumpy texture for a book about the sea. And sometimes these small things, having a little texture, having an outline, having additional material, is what actually connects children, not kids with visual impairment, but kids who, for whatever reason, don't enjoy reading or are unfamiliar with reading. They get attached to books. And if my videos work, I'll show you that a little later. The thing that we did see repeatedly was the power of having something tactile in a book. Kids across the spectrum, kids across attention difficulties, kids across visual issues, kids who didn't like reading, all kids were pulled into books that had tactile elements. Oops. the number of children that we have to think about is huge. And many of you have asked in your questions, how do we scale up solutions? And I don't have a quick answer, but I will share some answers with all of you. What we do know is that it is a disaster. Where we are today is a disaster. Imagine saying 45% of children with disabilities fail to attain literacy. One of the things that we realized is how many in India, children and adults, change their mode of literacy as they grow up because of a new impairment, because of an illness. We are home to one of the biggest populations of people who have retinoblastoma, which is a cancer of the eye. And you're losing your vision sometimes around 3 years. We're also home 2.5, 3, 4. We're also home to a high degree of retinal conditions. And a lot of people like this gentleman here in the image, he's 45 in this picture. And at 45, he's going back to learn his ABCs. He's also deaf. And so Braille really is his only choice. So we set out with about 20 books when we opened the library and steadily built our collection. Our collection grows from multiple different ways. We take existing books like Priya's Day, Minnow and Her Hair, Granny's Sari, from existing authors, Follow the Ants. All these are published books, and we recreate them so that they become accessible to children with disabilities. We also write our own stories, like Game of Sticks and some others that I'll show you soon, and Python. Many of these are our own stories. This is the first, Where is the Button? And we create them in response to what children ask us to do, what parents ask us to do, and kind of mostly by what kids are asking us to do. What we realized is the first book a child who's visually impaired receives is usually a text. And if they go into their library at school, if they have one, they are likely to get a book that looks like this. It's a long book or a large book with loads and loads of braille. And if you think of your first books or the first books that we give little children, you realize that it's not text that draws your attention, it's imagery. There's always a question, is imagery something that you want to give children with visual impairment? And my argument is absolute, because life asks you to imagine things that are not just logical text sentences. In figuring out an image, you have to enter it, you have to think about it, you have to guess, you have to use logic, you have to use reasoning. And all these are things that I want to give my children. Plus, remember, I don't want to just tell them a story. I want them to imagine it as they are reading it. And for that, I have to give them imagery for their fingers. Now, this is where we run into trouble. There are things on the screen. You see a thermoformed picture, a plastic sheet that kind of gets molded into a shape, and a print in a flash or a PF picture, which is a heated image. And what we saw was children don't like to touch it. They're very good. They have their place, but they're not something that's exciting. They're not pleasurable. They're excellent if you want to, give them a geography map, for example. What I wanted was something wonderful and exciting to feel. And we made these marvelous books, just really interesting pages And I would quickly see two kinds of hands. We would see hands that were passive, like the hand on the left, lying on this absolutely fascinating, she's created a texture of stone and created a tiger on top of the stone. And you can feel the outline of the tiger. And this is a wonderful story and a really interesting, interesting way of creating it. But look at the hand that's on it. It's just resting, quiet, and not even trying to distinguish or explore what it's feeling. On the other side, you see hands, it's actually Haim's hands, by the way, exploring these little sweets that have been placed on the paper. And you can see by the way he's using his fingers that he's gently checking, he's pressing to see, is it hard inside? What is the form? What is the size? Because we use our fingers and hands differently to get all this kind of information, texture, size, whether it's hard or soft or spongy, right? Distance, weight. The way you'd use your fingers are different. And here on the left is a child who's never had to use her fingers like that. And here's the problem. This is the hand of a child who is a fantastic Braille reader. So being able to read Braille, those tiny little dots, is not a prediction of a person who will actively explore an image. We wanted to change these passive hands into excited thinking hands. And so in creating our books, we always know in our mind what is the capacity, where are we launching, where does the book fit in this sequence. You could be someone with a fluent, good Braille skill, but your image level, your ability to understand and draw information from images may be very little. And I need to have books at all levels that have Braille at all levels and images at all levels. This whole journey, this whole balancing game has been fascinating. It's been fantastic. And it's just mind-blowing. It's something we're still enjoying, 10 years into this, or 8 years into this. We're still really, really enjoying it. I want to give you this example. It's a book that came to us. Once in 2 years, we hold a competition called the National Tactile Book Competition. And it's an opportunity for people to learn how to create a tactile book and to create a book for us and with us. We got this entry on the very, very last day of submission. And one of the judges who was there opening boxes with us looked at this and said, oh, she sent us a draft. It's just like a set of rags tied together with two little bells and the words outside that says possibilities stitched onto the book. She said she left the ends open so that children could discover for themselves that they could make anything out of anything. The idea of the book was to feel these stitched images inside. It's a wordless book. And children are supposed to imagine and tell the story. I took the book. We always in our competition have children judges. And when I took it in for judging, two sisters, twins, were in our judging committee. One girl explores this and talks about how it feels like a gate and the little seeds that are behind it that she discovered. She says, oh, I think this is an insect that's built a house at the back of the gate. Next comes the other sister who now picks the same page. And as she feels it, notice how her hands are picking up. It's just a page of slits that you can slide your hand right through. So one child slides her hands past this and says, it's like slats of a gate. The other one picks it up You can see her pinching it and pulling it up. And she says, it's drawers, it's a chest of drawers. And those little seeds that she discovers, she says, are a treasure kept in the back of the drawer. What we realized is children, not all children have this capacity. Not all children have this ability to take something so amorphous and just spin a tale. But it was something we wanted, isn't it? This was something that we wanted for all our kids to be able to do. And part of what we needed to do was to build. How do you find the balance? How do you find the balance between too challenging, too exotic, and just right? Enough of information for them to hang on to, and enough of challenge for their brains to latch on to. How do I find that right balance? One of the things we did was really to ensure that we worked very, very closely with children, and that we worked very, very closely with publishers. So we talked to Sandhya Rao, who is the author of this wonderful book, My Mother's Sari. And she described that behind the imagery was the idea. The story is just the 100 ways you play with your mother's sari. And well, the text tells that story. But look at the images. Look at those beautiful saris all hanging on a line. And every page is a different sari. And it's really gorgeous. And she said that it was also, the imagery was a celebration of all the saris this wonderful country of ours produces. And so in making it tactile, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get the silken texture of silk, how to make something feel like it's zari or tasseled. How do you give that feeling to your finger so that saris may be celebrated by your fingers just as you do by your eyes? We know it worked because when I took it to not just children who are blind, but I took it to a bunch of kids, just to see how they would respond, kids who are sighted. One of them, noticing there were things on the page, started feeling everything. And then he touched one and he said, Amma, this one feels like that salwar you wear when you go to fancy places. That salwar that's always hanging at the back, that one feels just like this. And that's the kind of connect that we want to be able to give children, that connect between their experience and what is on the page. A lot of what we had to learn along the way was what works and what doesn't. This is an image. One of the things that we learned is how much texture really, really matters, and how much having a very simple form matters for a child to be able to perceive. So on a page, you have a little girl cut out in a triangle for a dress, her head, her hair, 2 arms and 2 spindly arms and 2 long legs. And all around her on the ground are scratchy pieces of foam. And up above, you see drops of rain. When you feel this page, it's a page of chaos. And that is the intention of the author, because the winds are blowing and everything is being blown in the desert into the air. The image on the right side is a spiral. A spiral is a curious thing. It's wonderful to feel, it's wonderful to see and it's wonderful to feel, but it's not instinctive. Almost every time we have done a wave or a spiral, children will feel left to right and go bump, bump, bump. They just don't get this image unless in our words we say spiral. If we say she did something or it moved in a spiral, they will search for the spiral. But without that word, the balance is lost. You have to give the foundation on which a child can understand the image. How do we learn? How do we figure out? We hang out with kids and we ask them to do all kinds of funny things. We give them this odd piece of paper on which we've stuck textures and holes and just different kinds of tactile materials in a sort of pattern. And we ask them to tell us what they imagine it could be and can they spin a story from it. Most kids, when they start, they can't. But after they've been in our library about 6 months, that is about 12 books, by that time, every single child can at least tell a simple, oh, this is, I don't know, like a hole in a mountain, a river flowing by. This is a girl standing in front of a mirror. These are the beads from her chain. Just 1 or 2 sentences at least. But the idea that you can take something that doesn't have anything but texture and very little form and ask a child to spin a story, a child moves from 0 to at least 80% just by borrowing books. We lend 2 books a month. They go straight home. And there's nothing more than that. So watching the children interact with the books, of course, now we've started building a lot more into our program. We provide a lot of support to families, and we carry books into schools and into areas where children play and read together with them. And in watching them, we understand how we can push the boundaries. One of the boundaries we've pushed is the form of a book, something that we expect children to just be able to pick up. A book should just open a certain way. But if I gave you a book that opened another way, like opened upwards, for example, or opened out into a long book, like one long line, or had one page that opened up and one page that opened down and so on, you could easily figure that out. For a child with visual impairment, you're just confusing them. But as I interacted with the children, I felt now that stories are so interesting and books are so engaging and you want to read and you want to discover, can I push you a bit so that you learn this important life skill? You can handle stuff when life throws a little curveball at you. When a door opens differently or a bathroom doesn't, function the way you want it to function, you don't panic because you can figure stuff out. So a storybook allows children to problem solve in a very safe and engaging environment. It teaches them that they are smart, that they have the solution inside them, and that even when everything is not predictable, everything is not in their control, they can still kind of figure stuff out. This piece is something so valuable that we wanted to give children. And we see now, within a couple of months, the children are able to really show us how much they've grown. The one rule that we've always followed in creating our book is ensuring beauty. We know that books need to be beautiful. We know that books need to be interesting.
My turn. Next time. Next time. Next time. My turn. No, next time. Is it us?
Sorry. We know that books need to capture us. And also it was very important to us that our books needed to be loved, not just by the child, but by everybody around the child. over time, what we've seen is that our children receive a little bag with 2 books in it. And when they go home, everybody, the kids in the neighborhood, the siblings at home, the kids next door, everybody wants to see, what did you get this time? And that
My chance. Next time. Next time. Next time. My turn. No, next time. Is it us?
oh my gosh, this is so loud. Here you have
My chance. Next time. Next time. Next time. My turn. No, next time. Is it us?
what is an image? They're just pretending to be blind, they're closing their eyes, and they're trying to figure it out. And through this whole video,
It looks like a very difficult one for you. I can't. My chance. Next time. Next time. Next time. My turn. No, next time. Is it us? It looks like a very difficult one for you. I can't. I can't do this. What's the next one?
That's what.
Read the whole page. Read it. Is it a star? No. Almost. It looks like a star. Looks like a star. There is something there. It is about nature. What do you see in nature? You always see around. Stars. Always see around. In Shakti school, flower. There is notes in the middle. The flower. No, there's the apple. Almost. Almost. There's apples. Tree. Yeah.
Hello, Namita, you are not audible well.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay. So essentially what you saw in the previous video is a whole group of children gathered around one book, trying to figure out, just playing, they're not blind kids. They're closing their eyes and they're testing each other, trying to figure out what is on the page. And the children engage actively with each other. They are excited about the whole process. And this is really the gift we wanted to give our children. We wanted to see neighborhood kids come in. We wanted to see children engage with each other. We wanted to see children respect how someone can think differently or perceive differently. And this is something we've absolutely achieved. With each of our books, with each of our members, we see a growing group of kids they get to hang out with. We see family members seeing them differently. We see their conversation expanding. All these were things that we wanted to achieve. For the children who develop a higher level of skill and ability to imagine, an ability to leap in their brain from a clue, we create books that are more challenging. So this is an image. Haim knows this book well. It's an in-house book called Just Right. And it has a picture, tactile and visual, of a boat and a boy fishing. You see his line going all the way down, and you see the waves around the boat. Now, the whole book requires you to really stretch your brain. But what we've done for children who may struggle a little is to add all the objects and elements in the book in a box that we'll send along to children who may need that level of support. This serves to ensure that children can succeed, but that they are always challenged as well. We really know this. Right? This is how the brain works. When challenged, when excited, when eager to solve, and then when it succeeds. This is the best and deepest learning. And so a lot of what we do through the books, a lot of you had asked questions about, how can this support children in their learning, in academic skills, in non-academic, but fundamental learning skills. And these are some things that we see happen almost automatically. The mind is stretched, and children push themselves to imagine what could be on a page. We also slide into our books several fundamental learning tools that I believe are not very well given to children with visual impairments. We just, if you think of a preschool curriculum for children who are sighted, you know that we do a lot of visual memory, visual problem solving, moving children gently into more and more symbolic ways of thinking, but visual thinking. But there is no equivalent really that is followed in most schools serving children with visual impairments. So we develop in our books sometimes these little aids that help children develop tactile memory, tactile symbolism. The book that I have on the screen is called I Was Walking, and it's a very typical sequence book. I was walking, and I turn around and I see a yellow dog following me or looking at me. And then it goes on: a green duck, a yellow dog, a pink pig, a green duck, a yellow dog, and so on. And so in the sequence, to remember, it's just a sequence story. Each animal, when introduced, gets a patch of texture. And then the texture is repeated in standalone cards. And the texture is repeated at the bottom of the page, reminding the child all the animals that have shown up in sequence until this point. A book like this helps build symbolicism for children, tactile based symbolicism, direct link to your geography and your maps and your keys, your symbol keys, and tactile memory, which is a no-brainer, a fundamental skill. Again, I want to show you, the children are reading this book, and children have started teaching each other how the books work. And this sort of companionship between children who are blind, children who are sighted, older kids, younger kids, is something we've now started seeing again and again around our books. A group of children around a book is something wonderful, because learning happens so organically, so organically. Again, I want to stress that our books are created not just for children with visual impairments, but for children across the board. Now, on the screen, you see a little elephant, and you saw the elephant dressed up in a trunk of a peacock, the body of a tiger, a cheetah's legs, and a parrot's tail. And this is from Rupa the Elephant. It's a story, published story by NBT, I think, or CBT. A book like this is hard for many children to visualize. A child with intellectual impairment, a child who doesn't engage actively with this kind of thinking, can struggle with such concepts. So we send a book along with materials like this so that children can construct the elephant as the story moves along. A story like this helps deaf kids who struggle with language, kids with intellectual impairment who struggle with concepts, children with visual impairment who will have trouble visualizing what is this bizarre elephant going to look like, and so on. No doubt, this kind of material will help any child who doesn't like to read want to read. So with all our books, we encourage kids to read and discover. When books are issued, these are the little bags that you see. The children spend a few moments taking their books out, and often there will be other kids who come in at that time to see, what did these guys get? What do they get to take home? They spend a few minutes talking to each other and going over the books. And sometimes the older kids will tell the younger kids how the book works. What is this about? What do you need to do? This has been very important as we've come to understand how little support children get at home. not because parents don't want to, but because often children are struggling. I mean, children are studying in English medium schools while their parents may not have that level of fluency. So today what we do is, for our library members, we give them little audio, parents get little audio guides, but also our online stories have guides at the back. I will show you that in a moment. But I wanted to end just telling you this, that at the end, getting our books, children get a lot of fundamental skills: organization skills, object perception skills, hand skills, representation, symbolic thinking, imagination, etc. So this simple thing of creating books and games and items that go along with the books has been a fabulous way to set foundations in learning. Today, the library houses about 400 books. Many of them are our own. Most of them are existing published books. And many of them are created by our large, wonderful community. Every 2 years, as I said, we hold the National Tactile Book Competition, and we mentor people through a year almost, about 6 months or 7 months of hand-holding while they create their book. We also have regular partners. We have regular volunteer days, and we have regular partners who work with us remotely and in person to create books. We run a workshop that allows us to, we run a workshop that teaches schools or centers to create books. We do it at to connect children with books. We do it at 3 levels: an introductory workshop that guides you through how do you do inclusive storytelling, even if you don't have an accessible book. We guide you and mentor you through your first 2 couple of storytelling sessions, or we guide you through a whole year, depending on which kind of workshop you pick. We also do much less frequent, because it's heavy on us, workshops on how to develop accessible books. I'm just checking the time to see. Okay, I'm gonna skip the videos. It's just
Wheels. Cherry Sakaramai, Maramai, Paravai, Okamai.
So it's just a short video to show how a child is not engaged in a book. This is a child with autism. And as the teacher finishes up the story, he suddenly leans across, seeing a face, a picture of a face that has been made tactile. And immediately his hand goes on the page, and he spends the next couple of minutes actively exploring and engaging with the teacher about face and, surprisingly, expressions. I want to end here telling you that we have an online book, an online library, where you have books like this one on the screen, I Spy Shapes, in many languages, and they are audio described, they are picture described, and they come with activities at the end that allow a parent or a teacher to figure out how they may want to use the story, extend the story with the child. I have up on the screen our website. You can reach out to us if you're interested in any of the workshops, and you can follow us. Somebody was asking about pop-up books. I think in the Insta through September, you're going to see some examples of pop-up books that we've created that have been created for the National Tactile Book Competition. And yeah, so you'll see the full range of books as well as the way children respond to books if you follow us on Insta. I will, I think if you go to our website, it's going to be pretty easy for you to see the online books. I was just checking to see if I have that. Yeah, the online books are available, as I said, in multiple languages. And something that I think there's a parent in the group who had asked, where can he get these resources? Along with the online books, you can print them out. You can, they look something like this. They will have, you can print them out in any language that you want. We are also creating printed copies of several of our books. Oops, I think my screen is messing with me. And these come with the tactile elements that you can then just simply stick on the page. So in this way, we are trying to solve the problem of quickly increasing the availability of accessible books to children. I am 3 minutes away from the end, so I'm, yeah. So yes, I'm open to questions. I did pull up a whole bunch of, there were many questions. I want to say that the online books have a set of books. We have a set of books that are in Indian Sign Language. So I encourage you to explore them. The question about connecting child with book, you can reach out to us. How do you connect children with books? How do you get them engaged? How do you run inclusive storytelling sessions? You can get in touch with us. We do organize workshops for that. The connection to the curriculum, all the online books now, we start connecting them with the NCERT learning outcomes. So any parent or teacher of young children or inclusive schools who are interested are more than welcome to call us. We can do a workshop for you. The accessible books that we are creating now and making available that you can stick on and create your own tactile book is something that we hope will be done maybe by the end of this year. Let's see. Yeah. Any other questions? You're on mute, Prof.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I was I did submit a question earlier on in the Google form about getting writing devices for children with visual impairments, but since I've heard the talk, I will actually rephrase my question to actually fit the needs of the actual activities that you're doing. So what I want to know is how you're actually covering writing, how you're teaching these children how to write or communicate through means other than speech, because writing is indeed very powerful and it is interconnected.
Let me answer
with
your question, Romal. I think I got it. One is, there are two questions inside that. One is, how do we handle writing? Writing is really not something that we do. However, because we see a huge problem specifically when it comes to Braille, we are working on an early Braille curriculum, which will be, of course, through books and games. The second is writing as a form of expression, as a way of expression, not necessarily pen to paper, but a way to express yourselves. All our books go with a response form. So children are encouraged to respond in any way. We send them pictures they can use to respond. They can sign and respond. So we create these alternate ways that allow children to have commentary, because this is essential. You don't read a book and not talk about it. So we ask kids, we give them ways in which they can record a response to a book. They also then have a ready-made record with them, so they can go back and look at all the books they've read in a year, for example. A third piece is during our sessions, because we do sessions not just with children with visual impairment, but also children across the print disabilities. We carry communication boards. We make communication boards for every session, and this is how we promote participation. Yes, Manasi.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
This is really marvel to watch and hear. It's very interesting. And my only thing is, because the braille is outdated, the majority of the visually impaired are switching over to the audio curriculum, audio study materials. Only for the deaf blind, these braille usages are very much in progress. As far as the visually impaired are concerned, what really we are lacking is there's some kind of an expression, kind of an imagery. If I state one example, there's one John Keats. He comes out with such a good imagery. He says, "It was a quiet eve, the rocks were silent, untumultuous fringe of silver foam along the flat brown sand." This gives a clear idea for anyone who wants to imagine or to visualize this imagery technique, which really helps the visually impaired to a large extent. The majority of all the storytelling and all other, it only uh, uh, satisfies the content. We need to understand the environment. We need to really feel the environment, which is really missing in a lot of audiobooks. Maybe I want you to throw some light on this particular aspect so that the visually impaired are able to, have a holistic, approach towards their learning.
So very, very nice question. It's one of the reasons why we start young and why we actually give a physical grounding to imagination. A connection with the environment, a curiosity about the environment, a curiosity about how the world is. There's just so much. There's so much to tell. Vision has a great strength in that it's easy. In a fraction of a second, just by glancing around a room, I get so much of information, right? So through life, a person who is sighted has constant access to information. That is, a person who's blind has access to different kind of information. But there is a big absence. There is a big hole. And reading, driven by reading, is the one way in which you can explore the world for yourself. Now, India is India. Academic is very, very key, and auditory for academic is just efficient. I get it. But not everyone functions that way. You do need to have an option for people who don't function that way. I know for myself that I process information best when I actually sit down and write. Different people process information differently, and our job with young children is to give them that full scope. A big part of what we want to do is to get them to fall in love with the idea of discovery so that they may become explorers for themselves. Otherwise, all their knowledge, their access to information is driven by us, driven by others, driven by people around them. No, I'll give you a very, very simple example. All of you who are here in Tamil Nadu know dose amma dose ne potu dose. Yes, is it familiar? Yes,
Yes.
it's a very simple nursery rhyme we
Yes,
tell
really.
little kids about dose, right? And eating dose, feeding dose, whatever. Now, when we created this book, we put in a material that when you feel is like a nice ghee roast dosa, crisp and crunchy and just interesting. Now, I sent this home to a little girl and we call and chat with our members. When we called and talked to her, her mother said, Amma, do you know what your books have taught me? This child of mine questioned me saying, why is this dosa like this? But in our house, dosas are soft. I then explained to her why it is crisp and crunchy. To which she said, Amma, can I have a dosa like that? And she said, I would, of course, give it never occurred to me. It never occurred to me. That's it. That is the only reason. So your books have helped my daughter know what she wants to know or wants to experience, right? So it is this gap that we hope. We have children who ask us all kinds of questions, who through these discussions, we discover what they like. We did a story called My Birthday, and we got the children to write the story with us. We did one, and then we said, okay, what do you want? And we did this with children with neurological impairments and kids with ASD. Now, we put up all kinds of options, reasonable, unreasonable, and bizarre. And the children have very clear choices, very, very sure of what they wanted. We made those into little books and we sent it home with the parents, but we left out their answers. We sent them all the answers, all options, and said, do it again with your child. And sure enough, the kids made their choices clear. So it allows families who feel that they know their child, know what kids want, suddenly realize that that stupid birthday cake they made, their kid didn't want that. Their kid wanted papaya and taif sadam. Like, really, for your birthday, you want papaya and taif sadam? What kind of child are you? But if that's what she wanted, that's what she wanted. And that's really what we should have got her for her birthday, right? So I really hope that the books fill this gap. I have to say also that a lot of parents, we have a couple of parents with disabilities whose children are members or they themselves come and hang out with us. And a lot of the adults, him among them, I have to say, wait to get their hands on our books because of all the hidden treasures and the hidden ways of thinking you get pushed into, right? There was one more question about dyslexia. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. My name is
Manasi,
Nancy.
I saw your question. Maybe this is something we can take offline. In
Okay,
general,
sure,
as
sure.
a broad answer, I can say that we've seen a lot of children who struggle to read benefited by having reading made so pleasurable. Whether it specifically helps children with learning disabilities or dyslexia is something we may perhaps need to talk a little more deeply about. There are certain things
Sure.
that help, but not everything helps.
Sure, sure. Thank you very
My
much.
last question, just wanted to.
I think we're a little out of time, Mr. Govindakrishnan. Maybe you and I need to talk in a bit. I don't know. We'll ask Kartika.
No issues. Absolutely no issues.
You can go ahead.
Okay,
Maybe
go
another
ahead.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall I proceed?
Yeah, yes, sir,
Yes.
yes.
We, the visually impaired, are deprived of understanding the facial expressions. Whenever we interact, whenever we have conversations, we are finding it extremely tough. We are not sure how the reactions, how they are expressing through their gestures or in their facial expressions.
Right.
There's any other ways and means where this artificial intelligence can play a role in understanding this particular, issue which can be addressed? Because now today artificial intelligence is the talk of the hour. So does
Maybe
any
we'll ask the techies in the room. I do know that the fancy glasses that you get today do a pretty interesting job of identifying basic expressions. I'm not sure how accurate they are. They're not bad. I think in a more static environment, they may be not so bad. I think dynamic environments, they get very confused. But static environments, they do a pretty reasonable job.
Thank you.
Hello.
For those of you who are interested, I am just putting up the website.
Currently.
That the very first thing here is read a story. If you click on read a story, it will take you to the stories online page where we have many books and several languages. Anyone who's
Namita?
interested and would like to learn more, please do reach out to us.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Hi, Haim. Yes.
Actually, yeah, you have spoken more than an hour, maybe time to wrap up, but I thought I will mention this, however. See, we are talking basically about visualization, right? I've seen your book on just right. You are talking about the boat, how waves happen. See, there are many ways of audio describing and all that. But there is nothing like touch and feel it, because children enjoy when they touch something. It's not just visually impaired children, it's all children. I was imagining, I was going back to my childhood where we play hide and seek.
Yeah.
So a child goes in search of another child who is hiding somewhere, and they have to open a box and discover another child sitting inside. So that kind of hide and seek can happen with this kind of touch books, manipulable. There are apps that are manipulable, but there's nothing can replace different textures of a tree, leaf, ice cream, stick, boat, waves, and so on. And a lot of visualization that happens along the side with children and so on. I think that is what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And
It is a
somehow
very
we
big
should.
challenge, though, to find the right texture that can actually sit in a book. It is quite a challenge, and to put yourself into the mind or the hands of a child who's never seen, for example, a tree, and to imagine what you should actually represent in the book. These are some things that we continue to learn through interaction with adults and
Children, real children and parents. Okay. Thank you. Maybe we can take one more last question and then wind up, because she has been, Dr. Namita has been speaking for now more than an hour.
Can I ask one last question, if it's okay?
Very shortly, please.
Yes.
Yes. My question is just that how do you help these kids express themselves. I remember drawing a lot as a child, and the fundamental act of just reproducing the likeness of objects is very important in actually developing object permanence and perception in a sense. So I've heard of work with clay and especially with molding. And of course, I would like to also extend my appreciation to whoever made the book about possibilities. I missed the name of the author who actually made that tactile book. Has there been any case of any blind people actually making materials as you presented here for the blind? Because all the materials you presented seem like they were made by sighted people
Oh,
for the
no, no,
blind.
no. We do a lot of books with the kids. We do a lot of books with the kids. We've developed little scribble kits. So when you say these children, I'm assuming you're meaning children, specifically children with visual impairment. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So children with visual impairments very much are co-authors and co-illustrators with us. They co-design with us. A lot of the texture selection happens through them. They decide, for example, we had children after a story, we asked them to figure out to remember the story by doing a drawing. And one boy drew a dog and a goat from two different stories. And then he said, oh, a dog and a goat both have a head, a body, 4 legs, and a tail. How will I know which one is the dog and which one is the goat? And I said, I don't know. What do you think? What is the difference between a dog and a goat? What could you do? And he said, I will give it a collar. And giving it a collar then makes it a dog, and a lack of a collar, it's a goat. Now, this is marvelous. I love it. And this is something that we actually do a lot with children, is to ask them, how do you think about it? How do you identify it? How do you know it's not a plant? What is giving you that information? How do you know anything is anything? What is the key? And that key is important for me to understand if I'm illustrating it. And it's important for them to understand so that they can illustrate it and their friend can figure out what it is. So we've done things like farmer fowl who goes to the market and he carries onions, tomatoes, chilies, not potatoes, eggs, 3 kinds of eggs, brown eggs, white eggs, and duck eggs. And we asked the children, I said, my God, I don't know what to do. Everything's round. What are we going to do? How am I going to do this? I'll draw it for you, but you need to tell me what to do. And they came up with the solution. Duck eggs are the biggest. Brown eggs and white eggs are identical. We took everything, obviously. Brown eggs and white eggs are identical. So just give one a texture and we'll make that one brown. And onions have hair on them at the bottom, so you make it hairy. And tomatoes can just be round and smooth. And so we just did it then and there, and those were our cards. So children start thinking about how to represent and partner with us in that process. We also have little scribble kits that IITM's design students helped us come up with. Very cute, very clever. And kids need to grow into it, but it allows them to also go through something. Most kids, the first time I give them a scribble kit, will deconstruct it. So if I give them a shell, for example, they'll draw the top of the shell like a conch shell. They'll draw the top like a set of spirals. Then they'll draw a long body separately. That's just the length of the shell. Then they'll draw a line that is the piece where your hand can fit in, and that's the shell. It's only over time. We accept whatever they draw, we name it, we label it, and we discuss it with them. And over time, they start figuring out how all this hangs together in one way. Right? that is brilliance. That is such a great amount of thinking and such mental gymnastics at such a young age. I think it's a fabulous preparation. So for all those who worry that we are spending so much time doing storybooks and not studies, I want to say that I'm pretty sure that what we achieve is far, far deeper and far, far more useful than a lot of the mugging that I'm seeing happening.
Oh,
Him,
I can't
let's
agree more.
start. Do you agree, him?
Hello, Namita.
Yes.
I
Shall we?
can't agree more.
Yeah.
It's much superior to A for apple, B for biscuit, C for chocolate. 1,000 times superior to the textbooks. And that is the reason a lot of people hate English and math, because it's taught, by rote and also in a very plain, non-manipulable method.
Yeah.
So with that note, maybe we can leave the rest of the discussions to follow in discussion forum. Kindly, all of you, I request to contact Dr. Namita and follow up with your curiosities. And let's also take a vow not to kill childhood creativity as we, engage with such wonderful work, textured and immensely layered work by Dr. Namita and her team. On behalf of ARC, we thank you for coming on board and all the wonderful questions and audiences who have been sending questions to us and Namita. Thank you. Kartika, do you have anything to ask before we let the speaker go and the audience?
No, ma'am. I mean, I would like to thank you for a very insightful session, and I mean, very passionate about what you're doing. It's like really, I mean, really, I admire that. And the concept of co-creation is like, it's really beautiful, ma'am. I really wish I should actually come to your center and see that as well.
Please
Dr.
do.
Kartika herself is a special educator.
Okay,
Yeah.
lovely. Please
Yeah.
do come. Please reach out.
Yes, yes.
We are out a lot because we carry the books to the children. So just send us a message and connect with
and
us.
we'll come.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been, I think they've been asking how to reach out. I guess you've given the email ID as well. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
one short note
Thank
for
you,
all the, yes. Yeah, one short note to all the participants. There are few people who actually join with your phone. Last time also we told, and this time as well, you are joining with your phone name. So it's very difficult to consolidate during the attendance process. So kindly avoid it from the next sessions onward. And thank you so much to all of you for joining us and being here throughout the session. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was very nice session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Alt F4, Zoom meeting, mute comma, currently unmuted. Alt F4, leave me.